Hey there, Alex here. This is the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, not to be mistaken with the Mate 10, which is a slightly different phone, and I'll talk about those differences in the review where applicable. For now, let's talk about this beauty, the Mate 10 Pro. There are two types of flagship devices these days. One that tries to do it all with a premium design and the best hardware possible. The other is to target a more attractive price point and try not to compromise too much. The Mate 10 Pro belongs to the former. It's an ultra-premium phone that tries to do it all, and for the most part, it does. I mean, just look at it. There's a fashionably wide display at the front with minimal bezels, and the use of premium materials like metal and glass. But it's the little touches that sets the Mate 10 Pro apart. The symmetrical layout of the hardware components is just so pleasing to look at. Then you get this band running across the back of the phone that accentuates the camera hardware. It's all rather tastefully done, and this midnight blue version that I have looks incredible. Because of the small bezels and tall screen, the 6-inch display is actually surprisingly easy to use one-handed. But this is also where things get a little tricky. Instead of the Quad HD resolution like on other flagship devices or even the Mate 10, this is a Full HD OLED panel. Dropping the resolution is a ballsy move for a device labeled with the word Pro. But other than the semantics, I have no complaints about how the display looks at all. I love the deep blacks, the colors looks pleasing, and I can use it outdoors with ease. And it really is a great device to use outdoors because the Mate 10 Pro offers IP67 water and dust resistance, unlike the Mate 10. Ever since my experience with the Mate 9, I've been impressed with the performance of Huawei's in-house chipset. This time round, it's the newest Kirin 970 chipset with plenty of storage and RAM. All I can say is the Mate 10 Pro is a beast. It has one of the smoothest gameplay experiences I've had on an Android phone, and like past Mate series devices, it's a beast when it comes to battery life too. The 4000 mAh battery inside lasts me a day of heavy use easily, and the fact that they were able to pack in a battery this big into a phone this thin is pretty amazing. And don't worry, the battery is certified to be safe. Huawei is also touting their ability to keep the phone running fast through machine learning, and from my time with the Mate 9 and P10, I believe them. On the Kirin 970 chipset, there is actually a dedicated neural network processing unit to handle all the AI computing on the phone. Things like allocating resources to ensure smooth performance and battery efficiency, or better noise reduction for phone calls or audio recordings. It even works for image recognition too, and it's amazing to see how fast the Microsoft Translator app is able to translate text. Not everything works with the MPU, of course, but Huawei do have plans to expand the support to more services, so we'll just have to see how it goes. The MPU also plays a pretty big role in terms of the camera experience of the Mate 10 Pro. Since it handles image recognition, it's able to identify subjects in the scene and then tweak the image processing, which should result in a much smarter auto mode. Huawei is sticking to its dual camera setup, with a color and monochrome sensor combination. This time round, the aperture is a little bit wider at f1.6, which should let in more light and give you a nicer background blur. The results speaks for themselves. In full auto mode, the camera produces punchy looking images with nice colors and contrast. Best of all, the performance is consistent, even in dimmer lighting conditions. I have to say though, this style of image processing might not suit everyone's taste, but I think it has its own charms. A few companies have tried using a monochrome sensor as well, like the Nokia 8 and the Essential phone, but neither of them comes close to the experience and image quality that Huawei devices offers, so maybe that Leica partnership is really paying off. These days, you can't talk about smartphone cameras without talking about portrait mode, and you get that on both the front and rear cameras. The effects are actually surprisingly decent even for the front camera, but just don't expect too much out of it. The rear camera has a different wide aperture mode too, which lets you tweak how much blur you actually want in the background. The ability to tweak things is really part of the camera experience here. If you're willing to explore and experiment a little, this is one of the most feature-rich camera experience around. But if you just want to leave it in auto mode like me and just point and shoot, it won't leave you disappointed. Feature-rich is probably the same way I'll describe the entire software experience too. Huawei calls it EMUI 8, which is based on Android Oreo. You get tons of customizations and features everywhere. While the overall responsiveness is still considered good, it's simply not at the level that the Google Pixel 2 is at. I can't say that I'm a huge fan of this approach. It's not because I'm a stock Android snob or anything, but I just think that in terms of the aesthetics, it's not at the level that Samsung is at. Like for example, the default apps doesn't follow the UI guidelines from Google, so they look really out of place compared to most other apps. When you have such a beautiful hardware, having a good looking and well-performing software is important too. There are ways to theme some parts of the UI or use a launcher of course, but sadly you can't tweak everything. To be fair, EMUI does brings with it quite a few useful features, like the ability to lock apps for added security, or duplicate apps in case you need two WhatsApp accounts on your phone, since this is a dual SIM capable phone after all. Or you can even use the fingerprint sensor just to browse through photos. Another potentially useful feature is the ability to connect your phone to a bigger screen and get a desktop-like experience anywhere you go with just a cable, unlike Samsung's solution which still requires a dock. In short, this is a very well-featured software experience which I'm sure some people will like, but for me, it's all just a little bit too much and a little bit too rough around the edges. For a phone labelled with Pro, the phone has a few curious omissions like the lack of a 3.5mm audio jack and microSD card slot, both of which could be considered a Pro user feature, and those are available on the regular Mate 10. Then you get the lower screen resolution too. But if you just ignore the Pro name and just think of it as another variant of the Mate 10, it is a pretty good phone. The combination of stunning hardware design and good performance all adds to a rather enjoyable experience, even though the UI design leaves much to be desired. While I still wouldn't outright recommend this phone to just about anyone, especially when you consider the price tag and software experience, I wouldn't stop anyone from buying one either if they really like how it looks. It's a really solid phone, and for a year with so many other great Android smartphones, that's saying something. Thanks for watching my review of the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. If you like what you saw, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, and see you guys on the next one.